Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's session, which is the fourth session in our series of webinars that we've done on length of service awards programs. So far up to this point, we've talked about the benefits of having a LOSAP plan for your organization. We've talked a little bit about how to get one of those plans started, but today we're going to dive into the important things that the administrator needs to know and do to keep your plan available and working for everybody. So today I'm joined by Paul Cognetta. Paul is our VP of Operations at Penflex. And Paul, let's dive into it and talk about the administrative procedures and some of those responsibilities that the plan administrator has.
Well, Dave, thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate having the opportunity to talk about LOSAP further with you. So one of the things that's really special with Penflex is that we've been doing LOSAP administration for well over 30 years now. So we have the expertise and knowledge from a record-keeping perspective to understand the process of a LOSAP program. For example, as you'll see on this slide here, we have a very detailed reference guide that we utilize in New York State. And this is just a small sampling of the entire checklist. But why this is important is because for an administrator back at the fire department or at the EMS department, there's a lot of information that needs to be gathered. And we want to try to make this as easy as possible for the administrator and as concise. So this way they're able to go through a basic checklist of gathering information to send to us so we can actually do the administration of the LOSAP program for them. For example, we send out in the month of December what we call the data request package. The data request package has a number of different pieces of information in it, but I figured I would just highlight a few pieces for you. So change in membership status. From one year to the next, certainly participants change. Some members are active and remain active year to year. Some active members go from active to inactive. Some members go to military and then fall under military leave. And unfortunately, Dave, some members pass away. So we try to work with the administrator to make sure that the membership status is always updated. Another example, in New York State, for example, you must earn 50 points of volunteer service to get a year of credited service. So we will work with the administrator and sending them a document with their roster of participants so they can track the points of their members to make it easy. And then Dave, you've always heard the saying, 2 sets of eyes are better than one. At the end of the data request package, we have a certification form where we have more than one authorized individual sign off on the information that is sent. So this way the information is usually reviewed by more than one person, helping with the accuracy of information that is sent to us. Another example is payment of eligibility. Certainly when participants get to the age of eligibility for their LOSAP award, Penflex is going to be the one that's going to initiate that information for the member. You know, some plans age entitlement is 55, some is 60, some are 62, some are even 65. And what we do for our LOSAP clients is we are the ones that track this information. So when someone does become eligible and they reach that age of entitlement, we will send out a payment commencement form letting those individuals know they're eligible and they can start participating in getting the money that they've earned through a LOSAP program. Another key point in the package of information that we send is beneficiary form. Dave, I would say of the majority of the forms that we send, this is probably the most key. And why is that? And it's not just simply in the LOSAP program, it's life in general. A beneficiary form is key in identifying who you want to identify the money at time of passing. It could be a spouse, it could be children or a child. You are designating that and it's on file. So it makes it very simple for a transition to occur with those monies or assets, if you would call that. The problem is when someone doesn't have a beneficiary form on file. And unfortunately, Dave, we do see those cases where someone passes away, they haven't identified a beneficiary, and unfortunately, by law, we cannot just simply send that money to someone. Usually it has to go into probate, has to go into the courts, potentially an estate has to be set up, and then the money will be distributed to the estate. So one of the responsibilities, Dave, as a administrator of LOSAP, when we send out those data request packages and then subsequent packages that we send out, we will even identify for those fire departments and EMS departments who of their participants have not sent in a beneficiary form. So again, it's part of our record keeping services that we offer. We're trying to track those for you so the departments can go back to their members and try to get the beneficiary forms in.
So Paul, how important is that, life happens and I get divorced, or maybe I got in a fight with one of my kids and I no longer want them to have the inheritance. What happens if I forget to change my beneficiary forms?
So Dave, it's a great question. And the way that the laws will work is you take the beneficiary form that's on file. So if you unfortunately are divorced and you've left your spouse that you've divorced on that beneficiary form and you've made no changes, that would be the individual that would receive it. And a nice thing, Dave, and again, it was an excellent question on your part. If there is a change in your beneficiary form, you simply can contact us and we can get you a new form. And we also have a client portal now where someone can go online and simply just get the form for their department, take it off the portal, and then send it to us. So it's a very simple process, but like you said, Dave, life happens and we can't stress enough the importance of having an updated beneficiary form on file.
So would it be a good idea for a department then to have everybody fill out a new form once a year, maybe on a given point, maybe election night or something when you feel most of your members would be there? And I know it gets redundant after a while redoing those forms, but well, I bet you there's a lot of cases where money has gone to places where people really didn't anticipate at that point in their life.
And Dave, you're 100% correct. I mean, it's a great reminder, and we do have a lot of clients that at time of their annual meetings, they will bring up, hey, everyone, if you haven't filled out a beneficiary form, let's do it now. Or if you've had changes and you forgot to make those changes, let's do it now. You know, it's the old adage, better safe than sorry, because again, if there's no beneficiary form on file at time of passing, there's nothing that we're able to do because again, it's a law simply stating it's part of a state. You cannot make up a beneficiary form after someone has passed away. It's not allowed.
That probably doesn't go over real well when the ex-wife or ex-husband ends up with all the LOSAP money.
You're absolutely 100% correct, which leads to my next point, which is participant statements. You know, one of the nice things that, again, Penflex, what we do as part of our record keeping is every year, every active and inactive participant will receive a participant statement from us, letting them know how many years of credited service they have, letting them know what their projected LOSAP award will be. So again, from a record keeping perspective, it sort of takes the guesswork out of everything for everyone. And not only do we provide individual statements to the participants, our client also receives a complete set of these participant statements for their records. So again, someone comes into the firehouse and says, geez, I can't find my participant statement. Well, they certainly can call us and we can certainly issue them another one, but also the administrator at the firehouse or EMS department will also have those statements and they can also make a copy. Our goal is to try to make the record keeping as easy as possible for the administrators for the plan. And Dave, like I said, we've done this for a lot of years now. We've really gotten this down to a science from a record keeping perspective. And it really makes it easy for our participants, the people that we cover, for them to know how they're trending with their LOSAP program, which leads to my next point, which is plan funding. There are really two types of LOSAP programs. One is a defined benefit and the other is defined contribution. And there's differences between the two. A defined contribution is a flat dollar amount, same dollar amount year after year that the firehouse or EMS department contributes. So the calculation is rather simple. It's the number of members multiplied by the given dollar amount, that flat dollar amount each year. And we will let the plan administrator know what that funding amount is. Now, the defined benefit plan is more of a mathematical calculation done by a credentialed actuary, which we have on staff. We have a team of 4 actuaries. And those actuarial calculations take into account a few different things. First, the investments. How well those investments fared. Did they do well? Did they possibly not do well? What are the rate of returns? So that's part of the calculation. Also, the age demographics for that particular firehouse or EMS department. You know, are people younger in age and they're not close to receiving any of their entitlements? Or are they close to that entitlement age and the plan's going to be paying money out? Also along that calculation is the actual payouts. You know, how many people are receiving money? So that calculation for a defined benefit plan is a little more intricate, a little more detailed. And we at Penflex every year will do what we call a valuation report, and we will determine that funding level for that client's LOSAP plan. So we take the guesswork out of it. And you know what? That's one of the nice things, Dave, about Penflex is the level of detail and information that we provide to the plan administrator. Because for all intents and purposes, Dave, the plan information is not just shared at the firehouse. It's local government, it's municipalities, it's town supervisors. They want to see that information also. The next piece that I would want to touch upon.
Hey, Paul, before we get into the client visits, we've got a great question that came in that I think would fit in real nice here. You mentioned the participant statements. What if there's a discrepancy on the participant statement? So the participant gets their statement, like here in New York, where you need 50 points. It shows that they had 48 points for the last year and didn't qualify, but yet they feel, oh, wait a minute, I had this training that I didn't get credit for, or I did this that I didn't get credit for. Is there a way to amend the participant pay statement once we get to that point?
Yep.
Or does that all need to be done between the time that the points are posted and the statements coming out?
So Dave, another great question that came in. So going back to the data request package, one of the key points for the administrator, once they track the points for all of the participants, they have to post that for 30 days to give anyone the opportunity to agree or potentially disagree with the points that they were assigned. If they disagree, they would work with that plan administrator in verifying the plan number. once the roster of points is set, as I mentioned earlier, you have another certification, someone else signing off on that form also. So let's say it goes all the way through certification. Everybody has agreed upon that. And then 8 months later, somebody comes back and says, you know what, I was thinking about that. And why I only had 49 points, I do remember now I attended another training. So what would happen is that we would work with the plan administrator of that firehouse. If the plan administrator said, yeah, you know what? Yes, that person did ultimately reach that, then we would make an adjustment to the participant statement. And then in the upcoming valuation report for the fire department and the EMS department, we would just make an adjustment for that upcoming year, correcting that matter. But for the individual participant, we do that immediately.
Very good. So you talked about the posting and it needs to be up for 30 days. I assume it probably should be more than just, hey, we're going to slap this on a bulletin board somewhere where people may not see it. Probably we should communicate with the members of the department that, hey, this is here. If you've got any questions, you've got 30 days to get back with us. Sounds like it'd be a whole lot easier to catch it up front than it would be to try to go back in and amend it later.
Absolutely. A lot of our clients are very good with communicating that. A lot of our participants are even to the point now, Dave, where they're looking for those points to verify that information because they want that credited year of service to go towards that LOSAP award.
Very, very good. Now let's jump into the client visits and what you do there.
Sure. So, Dave, one of the nice things about Penflex, and we have clients in many different states, is that we will travel to our clients to meet with their boards, meet with the fire commissioners, meet with the supervisors, whomever you feel necessary you'd like us to meet with, so we can discuss the plan, how the plan is faring, what's the financial results of the plan. We'll talk about any provisions that are in the plan. Things change. In New York State, there's different laws that come about, and we certainly want to make our clients aware of those changes. Some clients like to do in-person meetings. Some now with technology are completely fine with doing it virtually. And the meetings, Dave, can last anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And we will highlight the valuation reports that our clients receive and some of the key points to that. So it's another added resource to help with the administration of a LOSAP plan. The last slide simply states it all for us. We try to make the administration of LOSAP extremely easy for the LOSAP administrators that have the responsibility of the record keeping at their own individual firehouse and EMS department levels. We're always here to be able to pick up phone messages. So those are some of our standard packages. And one, Dave, that I would want to show as an optional package is audit packages. An audit package here in New York State, for example, New York State now requires LOSAP plans to be audited. Some municipalities will have their own auditors do it from the beginning to the end. Some of our clients say, you do the audit for us, you prepare the package, and then we'll just give it to our auditors to review and sign off on. So again, since we have intimate knowledge of most of our clients' LOSAP plans, a lot of them do take that optional audit package from us as an additional expense because it just makes their lives easier. Because again, at the end of the day, each individual LOSAP plan needs to reflect that it has been audited. because there's a financial aspect to the LOSAP program.
Very good. But you mentioned that there's an additional fee for that. Is that fee comparable or maybe even less than what it would cost to hire an independent auditor to come in and do a full LOSAP audit?
Considerably less, Dave. Considerably less. Because again, an auditor from the outside is going to charge their own fees, which tend to be higher than someone that's doing the audit from our actuarial side of the business, because they don't have intimate knowledge of the LOSAP plan. So it's just going to take them more work and hours to complete that audit package. Where us, we know the specifics. We're able to do this in a very short period of time, and we're able to save the client money.
Very good. So Paul, as we went through the information today, it sounds like the administrator is a pretty important piece for all of this. Is there any advice you can give for a department on choosing who their administrator is going to be or where this responsibility might lie within the organization?
Well, usually, certainly an officer within the firehouse or EMS department is a good starting point for an administrator, because they really have some good working knowledge of their own individual departments. So I would certainly say someone who is on the board makes sense. I would certainly say someone who has a level of detail certainly is critical, because certainly there's a lot of record keeping that needs to be done. And primarily, Dave, the record keeping is just, tracking the points and seeing who's active and who's inactive. That's really the crux of it. And then, we will handle the rest, but you still got to get there. And having someone that's knowledgeable of the fire department or EMS department of who's participating is really a starting point. It's the foundation of the whole LOSAP plan.
Very good. And any last thoughts that you want to share before we leave people for this session?
Well, again, Dave, I go from the initial slide, and that is Penflex's extensive knowledge in LOSAP. We're a trusted resource for our clients. And as we continue to gain more clients because of our expertise and knowledge, we're able to articulate to our clients what are the trends are in the market. We talked about age entitlement. Well, you can go anywhere from 55 to 65. Well, what is that best number? We can talk a little bit about trends. We can talk a little bit about what we see in the marketplace, if you will, for dollar amounts as far as what districts are utilizing. So you're able to tap into our knowledge when developing or refining your own LOSAP plan.
We appreciate all the information that you've shared with us again here. I guess I can't stress enough how important that relationship between the organization and your provider. There could be some major mistakes made that would hurt both the participant and the organization. And without that partnership and without people looking at this that understand what's going on, we could end up in trouble in a hurry. So thanks again for your time and expertise. And we look forward to seeing people on the next session.
Thank you, Dave, for having me.